So firstly, thank you for attending, guys. Let me introduce myself. My name is Mohammed Saab. I've been here in Luxembourg for 3 years. Before that, I was living in the UAE. I don't know if anyone here has been to Dubai. So I was working at Microsoft Dubai for more than 4.5 years. I was a regional cloud architect for support in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, and all these Middle Eastern countries during this exciting journey. So since I came here, I also started as a cloud architect in my role. And then 3 years ago, I changed my position within my company, and now I'm in stable growth support. So before we start, I just want to ask you why we're here, why I chose this topic. I see. Today's topic is related to AI data, and we're talking about AI and how AI is affecting our jobs and our market. But today, I really want to take a different approach because I need to go back to the mistakes that we usually see in our environment. And I deal with this a lot for my customers. And we have two types of customers. Customers who see that their environment is aligned with best practices, and they don't see any problems in their environment from a security perspective. And there are also those who see that, no, we do have a problem and we need to work on it. So that's why I try to gather. There are a million mistakes, but I can't cover them all today. So I tried to come up with the 10 mistakes that I usually see in enterprise companies, companies that on the surface seem to have security and the necessary aspects that should be present in our environment, but in reality, they don't. So where should I start? Let me ask you today, is anyone here working in the cloud? Okay, so what's the biggest mistake you see in your environment? What is it? What's that one mistake that you never forget when you try? Something that really sticks with you when you try? Let me rephrase. If you try to upgrade your vendors and deploy an application, and we ask your architect or consultant, you need to deploy. There are one, two, or three things that are prerequisites we should cover. Or maybe there's a major mistake or gap, or you bring in another audit company to do a vulnerability audit, and then they give you a long list. And as you manage, or maybe you're surprised.
As far as I am concerned, the hype is killing the original concept.
Hype?
The trend is killing the concept. In my case, I've seen multiple projects where the top businesses are really more cloud focused. We are in the cloud. Is the application going to use external nodes? Okay. How often are you going to use it? Not too much. Okay. Trust IIS here?
Cloud in
The cloud. Not too much.
Okay.
Can it be coped on? We have 3 laptops in the background, that are just there. Okay, this is how much we cost. Ooh, we don't want it. So that's the problem with the hype. And with that being said,
yeah, actually, you are right about one of the mistakes. Maybe I didn't mention it in my slide, but one of the mistakes that's related to, as I mentioned at the beginning, is related to code. Because really, code is very important. And what I see as the biggest common mistake is that we have a lot of Azure services in our environment, but we really don't know why we selected, for example, SQL Server or SQL Managed Instance or SQL Network Service. So we should really understand why we select the service, what the cost is, and what the real benefits are for the current state or the near future state. This is a big problem that after 1 year, the IT manager will come to you and try to figure out, now we have 100,000, so why did we end up like this? So does anyone have a security mistake they've noticed in the environment? That's really important, and never forget anyone. And if people don't, we are afraid of them. In one of these specific examples,
for my projects, I had a problem with the keyboards, hard coding, like those applications were cloud oriented, but somehow they were still using them as if they were more expensive. So in interviews, to me, it's like, I don't know the story of the application. I just noticed that. What I assume is that there was only a web application. I had scoffed at CI/CD in my time, took care of the config keys, and when they migrated to the cloud, they didn't use the key vaults or the environment switch.
The application, by the way,
sorry,
this can let the application down.
Yes, absolutely. I think it should look exactly like this one. And that wasn't really quick. When would we at least move those different kinds of SQL tables to the main configuration? Yes, what is this? Then just use the key vault to have a secure network. That would be a quick.
It was the security. I won't skip this one. I'm not going to mention this one because this is an interesting topic. So firstly, I usually start with, let me try to explain to you how I approach that. Usually when I visit customers where I have to audit and my task is to audit the environment, I usually think of it like building my own home. So I build my home, so I need to, even before I begin to think about how to carefully choose my furniture, how to select my living room, my entire kitchen, or even my kid's bedroom, I have to think about what the design of my apartment will look like. So this is usually a typical mistake that I see in every environment. I just took this as an example. There are many of them, but this is the main topic. Usually you'll find that the customer, hopefully this isn't the case for anyone here, but it could be, usually the customer has an Azure environment and just one root management group. Then we have one subscription. So if you have one subscription, you deploy all resources there. You ask the DevOps team, the application team, the developer team, and the network team to deploy resources all under one subscription. And this is like when you have an environment like your apartment, so it's really flat and you don't have to stay in any particular room. You're still not doing any design. There's no designated bedroom or kitchen. It's just like a flat apartment. So you'll find two types. Even if you have the same subscriptions, you'll find all resources for different environments, a new environment, a production environment, and a shared environment, all under one subscription. And by the way, there's an even worse case than that. You have two environments like dev, UAT, prod, and shared, all in the same network. I'll come back to this topic later. Now imagine you have all your environments under one subscription. You don't have any governance in place, and usually I start with governance. I'm not starting with the customer network or looking at security, like how the firewall is set up. I'm not concerned about that. We'll get to that later. But I need to see how the environment is designed, so that's why I start with the subscription. So if I see this kind of mess, it's 100% wrong. Everything is a mess. So you can't tell me I have a firewall. I have it, I've purchased it. A big firewall, I don't want to mention the product, but then you have Azure Front Door, you have API management, you have all these, and then you put or push all resources under one subscription. So everything is missed, there's no doubt about it. So it's a mistake. So that's usually how I start. I build my design. Yes, I have my root management group, then I build some management groups, then I build the subscription, I build the resource group, then my resources. So what will that look like? How many management groups do you have? So when you design, one of the mistakes I usually see is that the environment or both designs end up failing because you don't really understand the environment, the subscription, or the governance that you've built. The education sector is different from the health sector, from the oil sector, from the banking sector. You really should be aware of what the company is working towards. You can't just go to Microsoft.com, take the best practices from there, and then go and implement them and tell your manager, this is my best practice because I found it in the Microsoft documentation. Yes, it's the best according to the documentation, but you have to be smarter when you try to design your environment or your department. You should be aware because maybe you have 3 kids, maybe I have 2 kids, you have 4 kids. So you can't design all apartments the same way. So you have to be smart. Yes, you may have identical rooms for them, but it depends on their background, on their kids. It's the same thing. You can't just download the environment. This is what I see in every environment. I can see it. I asked a customer, why did you build this design based on what? He told me, I go to Microsoft, I download the diagram, and I build the same thing. But really, the banking sector, for example, I can take the banking sector since I work with the banking sector. This is really different. This is the plan. I mean, we have different applications and maybe specialized applications. We have internal applications that the sector uses, and we have external applications. How can we design that? If you go to the education or health sector, you have a different perspective and a different view. And we can't just work with, let's say, a design that people create and then push it out to all customers. So really, you need to truly understand what your environment is, whether it's for your major applications or for both internal